here I am again. That first video was a lot of fun to make, so here I am again, making another video, having more fun. You can see that I'm sitting in the same environment. That seemed to work pretty well. As I move around though, you will notice my little dance. The chair doesn't squeak anymore. Different chair, problem solved, lesson learnt. So it was a lot of fun getting my first video out and doing that very quickly, and thanks everyone that has watched. There's a few corrections and additions that I'd like to make, so I'll do those at the end of this video. First, a bit of housekeeping. This map that I found on the street, clearly discarded and never used. And within the tube that I found it in, a letter.
Pete, I'm sorry for being rude and overstepping my limits last week. I apologize if I went too far and made assumptions I shouldn't have. Hope you accept this gift as a symbol of my sincerest apologies. Redacted.
There is another explanation, and I don't know if that's more or less heart-wrenching. This letter actually gets quite stuck in the tube, so it's actually quite possible that Pete never even saw it. I'm sure that you have been following the Facebooks or the news and have heard about the carving of the Larsen C, part of the Antarctic ice shelf. So the carving, this massive crack that's actually resulted in a big part of the ice shelf separating and becoming one of the biggest icebergs to ever have berged. 160 kilometers long, pretty long, and about 1 trillion tons of ice. So, I don't know, some joke about small town Australia. Ice. We have here a map. It's actually one of those scratch off the countries that you've been to. We get a bit of a head start now. There's an area on this map of Antarctica which is no longer Antarctica, so I reckon we can scratch that one off. So let's get to it. We're just going to make a permanent fix to the shape of the Earth because some of it's broken off. So thank you everyone for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button, I guess. Look, I mentioned at the start of the video that probably the main motivation behind putting this one together was there was a couple of corrections and things I'd like to expand upon from my first video, and chief among those, I'd like to address my attempted hit job on a guide to learning independently. Look, the entire argument that I laid out was fallacious. I did learn a lot getting that first video out very fast, but that section in particular, I'm actually quite ashamed of. But without it, I wouldn't have a first video, and I certainly wouldn't be making this one or thinking about videos in the future. So there's value in that exercise. And the one highlight, the one silver lining that's come out of that is looking at my YouTube analytics, which is something else I'm beginning to learn about. You can see that most people actually stop viewing around that time. So excellent work, everybody. Your bullshit detectors are finely tuned. Secondly, I revealed to myself, and I guess to all of you, I don't have a firm understanding of what biodegradable means. So I've spent a little bit of time looking into that. And there are a couple of caveats that come with the term biodegradable. First amongst those is, over what time span does this biodegradation occur? It can take years, if not decades. The second caveat, of course, is if that cup's going to get thrown in the bin and end up in landfill, well, all bets are off. The key to this, of course, is science. The biggest factor is the availability of oxygen, and that determines whether it's an aerobic, oxygen-rich environment or an anaerobic environment, oxygen-deprived. Either way, the microorganisms are doing their job and breaking that cup down, but depending on the environment, the resultant chemicals are going to be very different. In an aerobic environment, there's plenty of oxygen to go around, and when that cup breaks down, you can see here, we end up with some CO2, but we also end up with some of this H2O, which we're actually quite fond of. If we look at how that reaction plays out in an anaerobic environment, one without oxygen, so let's say in a landfill, maybe layers underneath, surrounded by, well, rubbish, the outcome here is that we're getting methane. Wonderful if you're planning to capture that and maybe use it to generate some kind of power, you know, from the decomposition of biomass. That would be lovely. Less beneficial if you're just going to let that leave your landfill and enter the atmosphere. Oh, so there we go. I wanted to talk about paper cups a week ago. Today I end up giving a pretty terrible science lesson. Thank you everybody for watching and hitting the like and subscribe buttons. I don't know, over here somewhere, probably over here. I don't know, do we mirror video? I'm not sure how this all works.